Hi Stampers! Today I'd like to show you how I made this Christmas tree card using the Tree Angle set and the Heartwarming Hugs designer series paper. And I'm going to show you first how to cut your paper, your designer series paper, so that you can make 3 cards using the same pieces of designer series paper. So you can get 3 different patterns. So I've got that one, and then also that one. So let's get started. First, you're going to need 3 pieces of designer series paper. I'm using, again, the Heartwarming Hugs, and you want to cut them to 5 1/4 by 4, so just a little bit smaller than a normal card front. And what I do, stack them all up. You're going to line them up in your paper trimmer. And full disclosure here, I do not use this paper trimmer hardly at all. I use a guillotine style for all my cutting, so you're gonna bear with me here. But I generally line it up in the channel and then just partially, not all the way over, just maybe a little bit past half, line it up. And you just want to cut all through all 3 layers at the same time, and you'll get your 3 triangle pieces. And then keeping them all together, you're just going to kind of put this one in again, just kind of see where your channel is, and they're all going to cut the same way. Just give that a cut, then you'll have those 3, and then those 3, and I'll show you how you put them all together. So you're just going to take the different pieces and then pair them up. There's 1 and 2 and 3. So that way, when you go to put all your pieces together on your 3 different cards, all the angles line up exactly, and you're not trying to mix and match and try to fit things together. So that's a great way to get your 3 patterns. And next, I'm going to show you all the stamping. All right, now we're going to get on to the stamping. We're using the Tree Angle set, and that's paired with the Stitch Triangles die to cut out the tree. And then the only other stamping is the Celebrate the Season, which is from the Itty Bitty Christmas set. And we're going to do that in Real Red, and the tree is Pear Pizzazz cardstock with Mossy Meadow ink. So I just have a couple scraps of Pear Pizzazz, and we're just going to stamp those. Remember, you're making 3 cards since you've already cut your designer series paper, so you want to make sure that when you're doing the rest of the parts of the cards that you do 3 of everything, to make sure you can just sit down and then you just put everything together all at once, and you don't have to keep pulling out different supplies as you go through. And don't worry, that's crooked, but we're going to end up cutting that out anyway. So I'll be right back, and I will do all of my Big Shot, which, let me point out the other Big Shot items. We've got the Stitch So Sweetly rectangle, as well as the star, which is used by the Stitch Stars die. And I use some of the new Brush Metallic cardstock. I think it's bronze. It might be gold. I don't know. There's 2 that look very similar, and I couldn't tell you which is which, so maybe somebody smarter out there can tell that. But that's just a little bit of that with the Stitch So Sweetly, or the Stitch Star dies for that. So I'll be right back with the Big Shot. All right, now that I've got all of my Big Shot pieces cut out, we've got our Stitch So Sweetly rectangles, our trees, and 3 stars. I just wanted to show you, this is the die that I used from the Stitch Stars dies. I think it's either that one or that one, just the right size. So I just lay that across my piece of brush cardstock, and you get just the right size star for the top of our tree. So I'm not going to show you all 3, but let's just put the tree together for one of them, and I'll put the whole card together to show you. First, we're going to stamp our little tree trunk in some soft suede, and just kind of line that up. Hopefully that's centered. And I'm going to use some little mini dimensionals because they fit down nicely in the corners. And just layer that over the top. Like I said, this is a really simple design. I mostly just wanted to show you how to cut the designer series paper so you get your angles just right and you can make 3 cards with only having to make the 3 cuts on. All right. I'm just going to use a glue dot on the back of this since it's so small. Pop that guy right there. And to show you, I already stamped one of the Celebrate the Seasons. And all I'm going to do is just kind of nip off the ends on a little bit of an angle. And put a little bit of adhesive. And let's see. I'm going to, oops, make sure you can see that centered. Just gonna see, I used this one yesterday when I was making some of my samples. And I'm just gonna retrim the brush cardstock to match the angle, and then you just wanna do the same on the other side. A little bit of adhesive right in the center. And there, you've got that part. So next I'm gonna show you how I put together this part of the card. So I don't trust myself to get it lined up on the card front. So I'm using a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 just whisper white plain old cardstock. So then I can line it up and adhere them. And then if there's any parts that are kind of wonky or crooked, I can trim them before putting them on my card front. Because once it's on the card front, if you're, you know, if your edges aren't quite even, you can't do too much about it. So this is just a little extra step. So if you are confident in your lining up abilities, then definitely go for it and don't bother with this step. But I just think it makes me feel better that I'm getting everything lined up just so. And then I have a straight edge to line up with. And feel free too when you do this you could cut more than 3 sheets of the designer series paper and you can end up with more what did I do? No, this one goes on the top. And you can mix and match and flip them over to the reverse side. So that's a good way too to design one kind of card, one design, and then just, you know, sit and put it together. So not every one looks exactly the same, but they use the same supplies, so you're not constantly having to redesign and start from scratch for a card. See? And then it gives you something nice and easy. See, this side is a little bit of a white bit, so I'm just going to trim that off with my Christmas card. So we've got that. Just going to adhere that to my card front. And a little bit in the center. Just line that right up. And of course you can turn it around and, you know, do whatever kind of layout you're going to want depending on what you do on the rest of the card. So there, we're almost done. The only thing that's left is I have a bit of this nice real red, what's it called? Just plain old sheer ribbon, and it's 3/8 of an inch, and this is in the holiday catalog too. So I just have a little bit cut there, and we're just gonna stick it behind. Oops. We're just gonna stick it behind the Christmas tree panel, and then we can trim the end. So that's just a little bit extra detail. And also I always buy way too much ribbon for Christmas time projects, and then I tend to end up with more than like half a roll left. So I'm gonna try my best this year to use as much up as I can. And then the last little bit, we're just gonna use some more dimensionals. I use the big ones for this panel. And here we go. And then, of course, finish off the inside of your card any way you want. For my samples, I'll show you here in a second. I just pulled in, there we go, and that's all set. So pretty easy. And in the sample, this is what I did on the inside. I used the Perfectly Plaid Merry Christmas sentiment, but just because this, that's just what I happened to grab because I already had Celebrate the Season, so I wanted Merry Christmas. And then I just used markers to color the little ornaments that are hanging down from the triangle set. So that's the easiest way to get a whole bunch of cards with the fun look using the same, oops, there we go, using the same supplies. And I hope you found that helpful, and thanks so much.